Dark Isles, Yekaterina, by Brian Shinomiya. I woke up suddenly and jumped out of bed. The towel wrapped around me dropped to the floor as I ran to the door. I ripped the sheet off my bed and wrapped it around me before I answered. The person who was pounding on my door was Dimitri. He was waiting outside. His eyes darted to the ceiling. "Yes?" I asked, looking down the hall behind him. Thankfully it was empty. "I just got feeling you could use some company, but I can come back later." I grabbed his hand and said, "Come in." I invited him into my quarters. Dimitri faced the bathroom so I could get dressed. I slipped on a pair of shorts and an oversized shirt. He sat on the bed and I casually used his leg as a pillow. Dimitri wasn't sure why he had come, but in some strange way, I was glad he did. He asked how things were going between Kaito and me. He decided to give me some advice about my relationship for when I finally meet Kaito. "What do you want from your relationship?" he asked. I reached under my bed and grabbed a bottle of whiskey that I confiscated from Boris. "I want children. Lots and lots of children," I said, unscrewing the bottle cap. He laughed. "You, Commander Yekaterina, the fearless hard-ass we know, simply as bull. Motherly? I don't think so." He went on to explain that the crew called me Bull because I was stubborn and hard-headed. He asked why I wanted a large family. My mother wanted 5 kids, but my father didn't want any. Sometimes I felt as though he didn't want me. Dimitri ran a gentle hand through my long, chestnut brown hair, making my skin tingle. Sometimes I felt as thought he was afraid to be with me, afraid things might go down a road I wasn't ready to travel. I changed position and laid my head on a pillow and my feet in Dimitri's lap. "I'm sure he didn't see you as unwanted," Dimitri said as he began rubbing my feet. Bad idea to change position. The butterflies fluttered wildly in my stomach. Goosebumps covered my body as he continued to massage my feet. "Well, there was one time," I started, pausing as we passed the bottle between us. I described a time my father took me to a medieval festival. I always loved those festivals. I had turned 7 that day. The mountain road was so bumpy, he stopped and got my bicycle helmet out of the back of his truck. I started to relieve that day until Dimitri began massaging my legs. I tried to hide my embarrassment at not being used to it. My dad let me go through the magic shops first. He enjoyed playing the festival games, especially the crossbow game. I didn't realize I had stopped talking and had begun melting into my mattress due to Dimitri massages until he said, "What happened next?" "After we ate, he bought me a grey fox fur coat with a little ushanka and let me ride the horses." I smiled and described the day I turned 18 and borrowed his truck to drive to the fleet recruitment office. It was a sunny day, so I pulled down the sun visor and there, tucked away, was a picture of me from 11 years earlier, dressed like a princess riding a horse. Dimitri stopped his massage as he reached my knees. "Do you want to kiss them too?" I lifted my foot to his face. He kissed it and looked up at my shirt. I pulled my knees to my chest as I sat up and pulled my shirt down over my legs. He laughed upon seeing my embarrassment. His eyes shifted to the wall behind me. "I'm sorry, I should not have come." He stood to leave. "Dimitri, don't." I stood and grabbed him, laughing. "What? Do you think he's going to be mad you gave me a foot and leg massage?" He rubbed the back of his neck. I made the joke that you pay people to do that, still trying to calm him. "I needed that anyway, my legs have been killing me lately." "It was just therapy." He shrugged, sitting back down. "Therapy, Boris. I need to ask how things went with Boris." I rested my head on Dimitri's shoulder. He took the opportunity to give me some advice on what not to say to Kaito since he could see my lack of experience. I glanced across the room and saw Alex watching in amusement. I had hoped she was a dream, but she wasn't. "Not so tough, are we?" I heard her voice in my head. Gradually, casually, I stretched out on the bed, folded my arms behind my head, and rested my feet on Dimitri's leg. We sat in silence for a moment. Alex began wandering around my quarters, looking at my shelves. Dimitri looked around and suggested I should clean up. I just gave him a pouty look. "You already have a guy to clean after you," he said, laughing. but nice try. I looked over at Alex. She was in my uniform with my skirt, sleeveless shirt and gloves. But when I looked at my closet, it was hanging on its hanger. Please? She said sweetly in my voice. I looked back at Dimitri. He was staring at my comm station. No. She can mimic me. A moment later, she passed by. He didn't notice her. As she entered the bathroom, her hair had loosed from its braids and changed from blonde to brown. She can look like me too. So, you're Polish? Dimitri asked. Or Belarusian? I stretched. Polish, Belarusian, but born in Russia, I added. The Soviet Federation, he corrected. He glanced at the foot locker sitting at the end of my bed, then away, grinning. I sat up. What? He shook his head. Nothing. You're just cute when you're embarrassed. I looked at the locker and saw a piece of pink fabric poking out under the lid. It was just a shirt, but I remembered what Dimitri had said before. Pink is a nice color for you. I dropped back on my bed and crossed my arms over my chest. I wanted to ask him to stay the night, or at least keep him here long enough so he might fall asleep. I shuffled over on my bed to make room. At this point, I was tired of waking up alone. He noticed the open space on the bed and leaned over to lay down, but quickly stopped. He looked up at the wall where Kaito's picture was taped and sat up. I can't. A massage is one thing, but sleeping in the same bed when I have my own and you're committed to someone isn't right, he said. Thank you, I thought to myself. He stared at me for a while and I grew more and more uncomfortable. I'm just tired of waking up in bed alone. I heard Alex laugh from the other side of the room as I shrank as Dimitri kept looking at me. Only 3 more years, he sighed. I could see the ongoing battle he was fighting on the inside. His self-control was admirable. Saying he was looking at my legs, I sat up. Things were becoming a little awkward, but I still wanted him to stay. Annoyingly, I had kitchen duty for breakfast tomorrow. He stood to use the bathroom. Once he left the room, I began feeling guilty about what happened. 3 years. I fell onto my bed. Smile, Dofus. You'll be in cryosleep for most of the time, Alex said as she appeared at the foot of my bed. I shut up. That's right. I would be going into cryosleep soon. Sasha would be taking the first shift. I smiled. The bathroom door slid open. Dimitri froze in a doorway, seeing me sitting on the bed smiling. I just realized that I'd be going to cryosleep soon. He relaxed and turned to leave. Part of me didn't want him to go, but I knew it was for the best. I fell back onto my bed and quickly fell asleep. The next morning, I found myself half asleep in the mess hall, serving breakfast to the line of grumpy, sleepy, and all-around gloomy-looking crew members. I was serving scrambled eggs and biscuits. I changed out my empty egg container for a new one, and when I looked back at the line, Dimitri was there. Just in time, he said. I rolled my eyes. Yes, just in time for hot, rubbery fake eggs. I smiled as I set a large scoop of scrambled eggs and biscuit on his tray. He moved down the line. Next to Shuffle in front of me was Abbas. Tell me you didn't cook, he grumbled. What's for breakfast? The man behind him asked as I scooped up a spoonful of eggs. Shit in disappointment, Abbas snorted. I whipped a lump of eggs down on his tray. The little lamp exploded, sending eggs flying everywhere, on his uniform, my apron, and the rest of his food. Everyone froze and all eyes shifted back and forth between me and him. Sorry, I said sweetly as I scooped up another spoonful of eggs. I missed a few spots. I whipped the second spoonful of eggs down, sending eggs flying again. He tried to stifle a laugh and let out a low growl. The next man slid his tray in front of me and took a few steps back. You're the best captain in the Soviet Federal Fleet. I laughed as I put a serving of eggs on his tray. After I was done serving and eating breakfast, I headed to the bridge. Officer on deck, Abbas said upon seeing me enter. All crew members stood. As you were, I replied. Everyone resumed their duties. I approached one very angry Sasha standing by my command chair. Why is the captain of ship serving food? He asked. To gain the respect of my crew. I sat in my chair. I quickly noticed Boris at the helm, seemingly very agitated. Sasha gave me his report, which was nothing more than another uneventful shift. Sasha, Abbas, ready your crews for my crew to be put into cryosleep. Sasha nodded and left. Abbas stayed behind. Ma'am, Alpha, Baker, and Moscow companies will be in cryosleep. The other 6 will alternate. And you? I'm on your shift, Abbas said. Lucky me. I informed the bridge crew that at the end of the shift we will go into cryosleep. I then made my way to Boris. He glared up at me. One night sober, he grunted. I patted him on the shoulder and made my way to the mapping computer. I turned around to see Alex in her American naval uniform, wandering around the bridge, going from station to station, looking over everyone's shoulder. It was slightly comical, seeing that even in death she was still trying to spy on my crew. She finally walked to my command chair and sat. All hands said curse to Moscow. We're going to take the fight to the communists. I looked up through the large viewing port in the ceiling and saw Saturn and its rings. Like Peter the First, you are destined to lead the Navy. I heard the goddess voice in my head. Ma'am, the engineering department reports thrusters are online and reactors are powering up for subwarp. Alex reclined the command chair that had piqued her interest. That's good. Is it lunchtime yet? She asked in my voice. The crew member looked at me, confused. I walked to the mapping computer. Thankfully, Alex stayed quiet for the rest of the shift and everything went smoothly. After being relieved, I walked toward my cryo chamber. Dimitri was making his way towards me. Heading to sleep? I asked. He let out a sigh. What's wrong? He turned and walked with me. I'm not looking forward to getting to Earth. I looked at him, confused. I'm just not looking forward to seeing you go. I looked away as my cheeks burned. I'm happy that you found someone, but... He let out a long breath. But you just wish it was you. He rubbed the back of his head. If you get married, send me an invitation or pictures, he said as he walked away. I will. He just smiled as he continued down the hall. I entered my cryo chamber. Alex, I called. There was no answer. What other name did she go by? Mara, you moron, she said in my head. There are microphones in here. Mara, where did I hear that name before? I thought as I began to disrobe. I looked around the room. It was empty except for my cryotube. Mara, she continued as I got into cryotube. She appeared and was looking down at me as the lid closed, like the goddess. I sat up and my head hit the glass of my tube lid. I heard the glass hissing and cold sensation overtook me.